tuned in to the Trailblazers, where we're looking to discover and then showcase those millennials that we see as real change makers, each of whose ventures is tangibly using technology to drive social impact. But this series is just as much about the playful human side of these future thought leaders. You know, what really makes them tick, what they were like as a kid, and where they now want to go.
Yeah, the team have tracked down inventions, creations that have true potential to improve our day-to-day lives in a meaningful way. Whether it's to do with boosting our health, educating us, tackling a community problem, protecting our environment,
stirring us into action for global causes, or simply providing a really credible platform for new talent. Quite like this, I suppose, right, Danny?
Exactly, we want to get under the skin of the person in question. And we're about to meet our very first Trailblazer, Stan Kopenko, the co-founder and CEO of Givevision.
Their piece of software takes the shape of an app that works with smart glasses to help visually impaired and blind people to read, identify nearby objects, and navigate their environment far more safely.
Shop names, street signs, bus numbers can all be read out to the user so they're much more orientated to their surroundings. In fact, the app will allow the glasses to read any printed text.
Danny will also be road testing Givevision with two visually impaired people who tried it on for the very first time with some incredible and very touching results. But first, let's talk to Stan. Okay, so Stan, let's do this. Thank you for being in my very first episode of the Trailblazers.
Thank you for inviting us.
So I will start by focusing more on Givevision, but I can't promise that I won't ask you some personal questions later on. So do we have a deal?
Of course.
Brilliant.
Sure.
So let's talk about Givevision. To me, this is a simply incredible tool that has a potential to transform the lives of visually impaired and blind people, and actually some other applications as well for the rest of us. Tell me how this began.
So, in early 2014, just a bunch of coders, we came together. We wanted to build a face recognition for Google Glass. And of course, Google didn't allow it on Play Store because of privacy concerns. And we put it into open source. And we built a bit of a community around it, and there was two blind programmers that approached us. They build these complex models in their heads, and they kind of literally remember hundreds and thousands of lines of code so they can debug quickly and sort of figure out what doesn't work. And we started talking. I was really inspired by them. Now they're actually working with Givevision, so they're on a team. And they suggested, why don't you do something for visually impaired people? Why don't you try? And I didn't know the problems that visually impaired people face.
So Stan, describe for me, right, that moment when Givevision was tried on by a visually impaired or blind person. What did that feel like for you as a creator?
Well, when we started, it was all theory, so we didn't know if it's going to work. One of the first times when we tested, especially the wearable magnifier that we've built, it was really surprising. So one of the people there, it was in Manchester, I think. No, it was Liverpool. I can remember that pretty clearly. And he put the glasses on and he started reading, and then he started to look around and he said, "Oh my God, this is the first time I can see across the room in 20 years." It's not trivial. You feel that what you do matters, and you have to go through a lot of hoops to make it work, and it's not an easy job because you're really experimenting with, you're on the edge, you experiment with technology that doesn't exist yet.
And this to me feels like sort of the next wave of wearables using technology for social impact, not just entertainment. So talk us through the types of technologies that your software is based on in slightly palatable form for those folks watching that aren't necessarily technically minded.
I really like the comment there about the tech for social good here. I think it's interesting that it's the visually impaired or disabled people leading the adoption of wearables. But in terms of technology, so we use a number of different enabling technologies to make this work. So obviously computer vision for recognizing text, so optical character recognition. We're using gesture control, so the camera can understand what your fingers or hands do or your body does.
And does the OCR power that technology of being able to convert text to sound?
Yeah, very simple. So camera would take a picture of a piece of text or a page or a sign, and then it will recognize printed text and be able to speak it out to you.
Now this looks fantastic, feels great, right? Expensive, right? I mean, how are we going to make this feel accessible from a price point perspective for folks from different socioeconomic backgrounds?
If you look at these the glasses, there's nothing special in here. It's just a little battery, a bit of a processor, and a camera. There's no magic. So there's no reason this should cost more than £200 or £300. just as any other smartphone.
So it sounds like you guys are going from strength to strength. But what hasn't worked along the way?
Since the day we started, obviously hardware was a big limiting factor. I mean, the battery life, we've started with Google Glass, it didn't even have autofocus. There's a lot of, we spent 6 months just trying to make it work because hardware is just not there. So it's a matter of time before we have more powerful processors, before we have better battery technology, so this thing can last a whole day easily. But always, at this point, the limiting factor is hardware.
Okay, so we've covered Givevision extensively. Now I want to unravel what makes you tick. So what does Stan do to let his hair down?
This is interesting. I just typically try and do a lot of weird stuff, like, not weird stuff, that's funny.
I want to keep going with that.
It's more like I try to make my spare time doing all sorts of extreme or very unusual things. So you catch me, bungee jumping or skydiving or that kind of stuff.
So what were you like as a kid?
I was very disobedient. I was really causing a lot of trouble.
Mischief and mayhem wherever you go. So you're quite mischievous then?
I think it's exciting to break rules, and if I can, I break them.
So you grew up in Lithuania, and you trained to be a military officer.
When I was a kid.
Quite intense.
Yeah, I wanted to be a military officer because both of my parents are military officers. But then once I actually started, entered military academy, I thought, no, this is not for me. Because I really enjoy the freedom and creativity and expressing myself in different ways. And I thought business or entrepreneurship would be a much better route.
When did you move to the UK?
It's 2007, so I think it was just 18, I think.
What prompted that move?
My parents, they didn't really support me quitting military academy because they had a plan. But then I had to, and I said, well, okay, I'm just gonna be on my own. So I just moved, and one of my mates, he was studying in University of Birmingham. So he was doing business degree, so I just jumped in.
Well, listen, clearly this adventurous, playful spirit has held you in very good stead so far. I'm really glad I've got to know you today, and I really hope that Givevision manages to really ramp up because it's a fantastic product. I'm going to keep a close eye to see how this gains momentum. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Have fun.
So I'm here today at Wired to talk to RG and Go. They are visually impaired, and we're going to test Givevision's technology to see what impact it has. So RG, Go, thank you very much for joining us. Something like what Givevision are developing here, which is, intelligent glasses, how is this going to make an impact on your life?
With a touch of the button, I can zoom in and zoom back out again so that I can find where I am on the page. And with this device, I can also point to a certain section of the text, and the glasses will identify that and magnify that.
This is just one lovely piece of tech that goes around your eyes, and that's it.
Yeah, one lovely piece of equipment is all in one, basically, one-stop shop, basically, anyway. This kind of devices I can read anytime, anywhere I want.
Just lastly, you two think that really this technology is going to enable you to live fuller, sort of more vibrant lives?
I think the key word is independence.
Yeah.
I think it will give a lot of people with visual impairments independence.
Brilliant. RG, Go, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Obviously, Givevision has the potential to significantly reshape the lives of those with visual impairments. This is a great example of tech catering for the disabled demographic.
And ultimately, millennial Stan Karpenko's work is empowering people. And that really is at the heart of what the Trailblazers is all about. Thank you for watching. Okay, so clearly this is how millennials get around. I'm not buying one of these anytime soon, but clearly that's your preferred mode of transport. Thank you for that. How do I get off now?
Jump on.